G'day everyone, welcome to the very first instalment of Two Aussies in Dubai. My name is David Hutchinson. I'm Associate Director of Haus Real Estate here in Dubai. And I'm also here with my colleague and friend and sometimes paddle competitor, yes,
And partner.
Mr. John Gillroy. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, David. Look, obviously, we just wanted to put something together for Australians back home in Australia. Obviously, we've been here for a couple of years now in Dubai, working in the market off plan, and I've obviously now progressed over into the resale with the villas. So, yeah, we just wanted to obviously say hello to all the Australians out there and try and assist in any way that we can. Obviously, we've been here for a couple of years, learned quite a lot about the market, and we've been lucky enough to come to a very established, I think, company to work for with some very experienced people that we've learnt off, with people who've been here over 20 years, with the directors that have been here, for many, many years as well. So I think we've been lucky and quite privileged to learn off those people and learn, what are good developments, what are good areas, what quality developers are out there. So, yeah, I suppose we're here just to probably assist really people, aren't they, with any questions they may have.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, there's Dubai's getting talked about a lot wherever you go, whether it be from Australians, other people around the world. And I suppose one of the big things come back is, I don't know if people necessarily believe a lot of what is happening over here, just in terms of how active the market is and prices growing and all that sort of thing. And also I think part of this is just to sort of weave through, a fair bit of the BS out there as well, and just show some sort of facts and figures. Just help people give people a bit of a general understanding. You mentioned you've now jumped over into sort of the secondary sales market, which to Aussies is like your established real estate market equivalent.
Yep.
You just want to give us some insights into how that came about and how you found it doing that as well?
Yeah, look, I was an off plan for just over a year, and came over to Dubai for different reasons, and then I, obviously liked living here in Dubai. And I thought, look, for me, what best suited me was to probably maybe go into the resale market. And sort of get into a good community. And I managed to get in to join a team in Arabian Ranches 1. So I'm in a team of 16 people, which we look after solely on Arabian Ranches 1, 2, and 3. So got some really experienced people in there.
It's led by the legendary Jack Smith as
Jack
well.
Smith, yeah, a Scotsman. Yeah, so he's very good. And, we've got a couple of Aussies in there, and Talia and Ali and Nick as well. So there's 3 other Aussies that I'm working with. So it's really good. So I decided to go that way. So it's a bit of a different change for me, but really loving, getting to meet people, why they've moved here to Dubai. And I think that villa community is totally different to the off plan. Obviously, it's a different sort of sell. But I sort of progressed into that and really enjoying it. As I said, very established team, really nice community. So the community pretty much is 4,000 townhouses and villages in Arabian Ranches 1. It's centered around a golf course. It's got its own shopping center, its own restaurants and everything in there. So really self-contained, really secure community. And there's numerous, obviously, communities throughout Dubai that have been handed over. And we've got about 100 odd agents in the resale. So we cover pretty much every area of Dubai with the team. So we bounce off people. So if anyone's looking to move over here to Dubai, we can help you with finding a ready property. We can help you with a rental, if you're looking, to move over here, because we do get a lot of people reach out to us on LinkedIn quite often, asking what's it like over here? How are you guys finding it? It's a different market to Australia, isn't it? Very different.
Yeah, I mean, look, living here is great. I mean, living here is fantastic with the safety and the weather and all the stuff you can do over here, like all the events that come through, and living here is great. But yeah, from a market perspective, it's we've got probably 35 odd years, Australian real estate experience between us or something like that, and. I think, even now we're still, coming across things like, wow, that's different, or that's how that works over there. And, but market definitely different, which I guess, I've got some of these statistics here, which is just going back to the off-plan side of things. So I've got our 2024 full year report. And can you believe there are 106,000 off-plan transactions for the year, which is equaling to about 233 billion dirhams worth of property transacted for last year, which was a record naturally.
230?
233
Okay.
billion.
So
Yeah.
that would be what, close to what? It's about 2.2 to Australian, isn't it? So
Yeah,
so
2.3.
we've got over 100 billion, or about 100 billion
Yeah,
Australian,
yeah.
which is a lot of money.
100 billion Australian dollars worth of property, yeah. But just in the off-plan segment.
And that's for
for
what,
the
a
year.
population of Dubai of what now, just under 4 million.
Yeah, just ticked over 3.9
So,
million,
which
which is pretty crazy. So, and yeah, I suppose, people, there's a lot of these numbers that are getting thrown around on Instagram and that type of thing, and it's hard to know what's true and what isn't true. This is, and we can share this to whoever wants it as well. But this is from Property Monitor. This is the actual data that comes through on that, and some of the other interesting things here, like there were 503 projects launched for the year.
I think there was at some stage where they saying there was one every 17 hours or something.
So, yeah, I think it's one every 19 hours. I think in actual fact it is. So pretty much one a day, basically. There were 122 projects that were handed over, which equaled about 26,000 units being completed. Which, if you think about it, we had 200,000 people move here last year. They only handed over 26,000 units. Most of those are probably studios and one beds as well, because that's what most of the apartment buildings are made up of here. So even though if you see any images of Dubai on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, you'll see construction everywhere, and that is the case. That's what's the same as if you drive around here as well. But not everything gets handed over at once. So only 26,000 units when about 200,000 people moved here. There is still very much an imbalance happening. Now we do expect that that'll increase going forward. Like I think this year the number's going to be closer to 40,000 units. But even so, already this year we're averaging about 1,000 people per day moving here, which will obviously exceed last year's target. So yes, a lot under construction, but not everything handing over at once. And just a lot of people moving here as well. So yeah, I think when people sort of talk about supply and demand, it's very, very interesting just having a look at the numbers.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason I probably went into the resale and looked at the villa community is I think the numbers were in total something like there was 800,000 units in total in Dubai. And I think of that makeup, I think 5% were villas and 8% townhouses, and then the rest were apartments. So there is a huge undersupply for townhouses and villas. So as we've seen last year and also this year, anytime that there's a townhouse or a villa community that's launched, there's such a huge demand and EOIs put in, usually too many, that they usually cut it off. I know with Damac last year, with the Damac Islands, they were going to launch 1,000 and they ended up getting 3,000 EOIs. So they sold close to 3,000 on launch day, which was $10 billion worth of property in 10 hours, which is, it's a bit hard to sort of explain to people in Australia, like you're telling people about these projects and saying you're going to miss out on it. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're just saying that because you're a salesperson. We're actually just telling you the truth. So people have to actually go through the process of missing out on something and then having to pay the next increased price for the next launch because that's just the way it works here.
Yeah.
And bulk buyers that come in and buy multiple of these at a time.
That's the other thing. I never really saw it in my time selling, residential land estates. Look, there would be groups and families here and there that would sort of buy blocks of land together. And I remember in the early days, we would actually sell a lot to builders. If builders wanted to package them, we would sell directly to Porter Davis, Simmons and that type of thing. So I suppose I saw a little bit of it. But it's on a whole nother level here. Like when people are buying full floors in buildings, they are buying streets worth of townhouses or villas. Some are just individual, very wealthy people doing that. Others are families, trying to all live together because they're relocating over here. But yeah, when people hear 10 billion, US dollars worth of property sold in a day or a few hours, it is hard to believe. Like if I was in Australia now, I probably wouldn't believe it. But being over here, for obviously the good launches, like the really popular launches, this is what's happening, which is honestly just staggering.
Yeah. And I think that's what we've learned now. We're probably just over 4 years combined together now here in Dubai. We've learned through obviously people that we're working with, very experienced people, what are the good areas, what are the good growth areas. Obviously with the Dubai 2040 plan, what their master plan is for Dubai. the Dubai 2033 economic plan, what they've put in place. So when people come to us, we can obviously set them in the right direction and explain to them who are the good developers with a proven track record, and we can show numbers. Because one thing I like about Dubai is with Property Monitor, you can actually go on and look up any villa, townhouse, or apartment, what it's sold for over its whole history. Everything's very, very transparent here.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that are thinking, how am I protected here in Dubai? But it is very protected here when you're buying off plan as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, developers are required to have escrow accounts before they take a project to launch. There are two main bodies. There's the Dubai Land Department and RERA, the Real Estate Regulatory Agency. That sort of basically oversee all things real estate, construction, through the Dubai Rest app, you can track the construction progress of any project out there. It'll have the escrow account details there. On the back of 2007, 2008, when the GFC hit and things were a bit of a shambles here in terms of projects being left uncompleted. There's those famous images of those supercars being left at the airport and in the middle of the desert and
just still running.
Yeah, just people getting out. So that did happen. Like back then, a lot of people got burned, including some of our bosses here as well. But on the back of that, because the whole 2040 vision and beyond is predicated on foreign investment and also population growth, they had to put better framework in place. So with those two bodies, the DLD and RERA, they oversee it. And since then, as I was talking to my manager, Stephen, who's been here for 20 years, he said, on the back of those two bodies being in, no developer has actually gone under. Since that happened. There's been a few construction companies that have gone under, but then all the developer had to do is just replace the contractor they were using for that particular thing. So since then, since say about 2009, 2010, no developers have actually gone bust here, which is another big question we get from not just Aussies but people all over the world. Like, are they actually going to build it? How safe is all that?
And I think why we're getting a lot of people to invest here is because I think so many issues are happening overseas in their own countries, with taxes and all this now. So we are getting a lot more. There's a lot more people, I think, from Australia that are looking to reach out. So it's just
most definitely you and I have helped a bunch of them. So
I think it's just with people who are looking at doing something with their retirement funds or their super funds and things like that. You could look at bringing some money over to Dubai. Now Arabian Ranches 3 just recently, they started handing over some townhouses and villas. And to give an example, so they were probably purchased off plan back in sort of 2020, 2021. There were some twin villas there. They were priced around about 1.8 million. Now getting handed over 4 years later, they're selling them for around about 6.5. So
and so that's dirhams as well, right?
That's dirhams, so probably half that for Australia.
So if you bought it, say, when did you say they launched, though?
About 2020 and 2021.
Okay, so just around sort of the COVID time. But you could spend, say, 800,000, 900,000 Australian dollars at that point in time, and now 5 years later, you're selling it for what, about three?
About 3 million Australian. But it's not going to happen on every project.
Yeah.
This is a very well-known developer, Ema. But even the standalone villas, the 5 bedrooms, I think they bought them just under 6 million, and they're selling them now for 12.5 on handout. So they've doubled their money. So it's crazy, and these are people who have bought maybe 5 or 6 of these at a time, and then they're selling them off. So there are some very, very good investments in there. I think where people, the day where you'd come in and buy and flip, a lot of that is not happening, and we don't advise people to buy a project to flip. Yes, you can over time, but I think a lot of agents are really promising things that I think aren't correct, to some investors. If it sounds too good to be true, sometimes it is. So,
I think it's a tricky one for people out there, isn't it? Because we just quoted all these big numbers, and you mentioned these guys buying villas and reselling, making a couple of $1 million in the space of 5 years. That is happening. That is all true. But I suppose in terms of some of the the BS that's out there, if you are contemplating to buy and someone's saying that you could go buy an apartment, for example, and go resell it for double the price in 6 months or 12 months or something like that, that is very, very unlikely. That is a sign to be very cautious speaking with that person. Having said that, buying scarce products in the market villas, townhouses, which are only about 12% of the off-plan market, or apartments in terms of central business district location, waterfront location,
Waterfront for sure.
or with a lot of new major infrastructure coming into that area.
Yep.
Over time, over a couple of years, as the surrounding areas develop and that project gets more and more developed towards completion, then you could probably make a pretty decent profit on that. But I think spruikers out there saying that you can buy something now and double your money very quickly or anything like that is certainly not the case. But having said that, with the right advice, by buying the right thing, in a few years' time or at completion of the project, you can definitely get some pretty significant uplift.
Definitely, in the right areas like Expo, as you said, anything waterfront tends to be it's the same in Australia. If you're buying something near the waterfront, you're going to get good sort of capital appreciation on it. But look, we're basically just going to be catching up on a regular basis. We're reaching out to anyone that's got any questions that they would like answered. If they're asking about a particular project or a particular community, or if they're thinking about moving over to Dubai or investing in Dubai, we're just happy to assist. And we'll bring on, some people that we work with as well, I think, from time to time. And, just hear their stories on what they think about Dubai and why they've living in Dubai now for like 18, 20 years. And, just want to sort of pass that on, to people there back home.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, we're going to keep it very casual. It's not about, trying to sell people stuff or anything. It's just trying to, give you some information and to give you some insights into, living in Dubai, working in Dubai, sort of the property market in Dubai. Everyone loves talking about real estate, no matter where you are in the world. Real estate's always a hot topic, and there is no hotter, real estate market in the world in terms of, I suppose, probably being talked about and also transacted. Like just one stat to finish off on, like last year there were about 180,000 sales transactions, which if you break that down is about 3,500 per week and about 20 every hour in terms of actual transactions happening. So, it is. So look, the numbers out there of the market are pretty full on, but I suppose not all of them, but a lot of, what we've sort of put forward here is true on Property Monitor, as you said. And there are some really great opportunities for people to make money out there. Definitely. There really are.
There is, So look, as we said, if anyone's got any questions whatsoever, please fire them away to us. We're more than happy to assist in any way that we can. And we'll obviously try and keep this on a regular basis.
Beautiful. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Dave.
Concludes the first installment.
First one down and dusted. So but thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Easy. Thank you.